You won't believe what Caitlin Clark just announced. It's the kind of news that sends shockwaves through the entire WNBA. And let's be real, are we even surprised at this point? Most of you watched her practically carry the league this season. But now she's reached her breaking point. Yes, it's true she's leaving, and this time it's for good. And can you honestly blame her? She's been facing tough, physical defense at the professional level and recently shared her frustration with the league's officiating. She vented to reporters saying, "I feel like I'm constantly getting hammered out there, and opponents get away with things others wouldn't." To be fair, this league probably never deserved her. She dragged a struggling team to the playoffs after years of obscurity, shattered attendance records, and turned her jersey into a bestseller. But what did she receive in return? A barrage of eye pokes, shoulder hits, technical fouls, accusations of racism, and the label of being a rude player. Can you imagine? It's maddening. But what exactly pushed her to this point? What made her drop this bombshell and decide to call it quits? Let's dig into the full story because trust me, you don't want to miss this. The frustration in Caitlin Clark's eyes has been building up for weeks, but the final straw came during a heart-wrenching playoff game against the Connecticut Sun. The Indiana Fever was knocked out, and that loss hit her hard. She's not built for this league's physicality, and it's clear she's struggling to cope with it. With a final score of 87-81, Clark played like it was her last stand, putting up 29 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds, trying to drag her team to victory all by herself. But where was the rest of her squad? They might as well have been napping. While Clark was fighting like a one-woman army, her teammates stumbled around the court, missing shots and making rookie mistakes. It's almost like they were determined to let her down. Take Tammy Fagbinel, for example. Her performance was nothing short of a horror show. She committed costly mistakes, including a shot clock violation when the team desperately needed to gain momentum. If she wasn't standing around looking clueless, she was shooting 0 for 3, practically handing the ball back to the Sun. Honestly, can you blame Clark for being fed up? And then there's Victoria Vivians, who was supposed to be the seasoned veteran shining under pressure. Instead, she went Mia, scoring a mere 6 points on a dreadful 2 out of 10 shooting. Can you imagine? Missing open shots that even a casual player could make. Let's not forget Kelsey Mitchell, one of the team's most reliable scorers. She chose the worst possible time to disappear, scoring just 9 points on an abysmal 3 for 12 shooting. This is the player expected to step up and lead, yet she hesitated, passed up shots, and when she finally took them, they were airballs. It's like she got stage fright when her team needed her to be clutch the most. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark was out there giving it her all, playing her heart out for 40 full minutes, but every time she pulled off a clutch play, her teammates dropped the ball, literally. Watching it unfold was painful. Every missed shot, every turnover felt like a punch in the gut to Clark, who was pouring every ounce of effort into that game. You could see it in her body language, the slumped shoulders, the frustrated glances. This wasn't just a simple loss, it was a harsh realization. No matter how much she pushed, no matter how many incredible plays she made, it was never going to be enough without a team that could truly back her up. When that final buzzer rang, and she stood there, staring at the scoreboard, it was more than just the end of a playoff run. It was the moment she realized that her patience had run out. She was carrying the team alone, and the league wasn't doing enough to support its star player. And just like that, Caitlin Clark decided it was time for a change. The entire WNBA was left in disbelief when she announced she wasn't just leaving the league but setting her sights on Europe. Yes, you heard that right, the most electrifying rookie the WNBA has ever seen is packing her bags and heading overseas. Can you really blame her? After facing constant pressure, cheap shots, and criticism both on and off the court, she knew it was time to hit the reset button. The announcement came just days after the Indiana Fever's painful exit from the playoffs. It wasn't a surprise, honestly. How long could she keep carrying the team to relevancy without getting any support in return? During a somber press conference on September 29, 2024, she made it official: "I need a reset. I need to get away from all of this." Her words were blunt, and you could see the exhaustion in her eyes. She was done, mentally and emotionally drained. But it's not just Indiana losing their star. This is a disaster for the entire league. Clark's arrival was more than just the debut of a rookie, it was a phenomenon. From the moment she stepped on the court, viewership and ticket sales soared. Indiana Fever games transformed into must-see events, with arenas packed to the brim. In fact, during her rookie season, the Fever led the league in attendance, both at home and on the road. That's the kind of impact she had. She was the main attraction. Caitlin Clark was more than just a player. She was a game changer, a money-making force that revived the WNBA's popularity. Merchandise sales, which had been stagnant for years, shot up as soon as her jersey hit the stores. By August 2024, her jersey became the best-selling in league history, even surpassing legends like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi. Indiana's home court, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, went from an empty venue to the hottest spot in town. Fans were willing to pay up to $200 for courtside seats just to watch her play. She wasn't just making headlines, she was practically printing money for the league. And it wasn't just about ticket sales. Clark was a broadcasting magnet too. In June 2024, when the Fever faced the New York Liberty on ESPN, the game drew a jaw-dropping 1.5 million viewers. To put that into perspective, that's more than what an average NBA game on TNT pulls in. The WNBA had never seen numbers like this. Games featuring other stars like Breanna Stewart and Aja Wilson couldn't even match the viewership Clark brought in. She single-handedly changed the league's narrative. But despite all of this success, what did she receive in return? Let's break it down. First, Alyssa Thomas accused the hype around Clark of being driven by racial bias. She insinuated that Clark's popularity stemmed from her being a white athlete dominating a sport filled with black players. It was a baseless argument, dismissing her talent and hard work. Clark wasn't just winning games, she was rewriting the playbook, breaking records, and showcasing unparalleled skill on the court. But that was just the start. Things quickly took a turn for the worse. During the playoffs, Dejanai Carrington crossed a line. It wasn't just a foul, she poked Clark in the eye, leaving her temporarily blinded. You'd think the referees would step in, right? Wrong. There wasn't a single foul call. The game continued as if nothing had happened. Clark stumbled around the court, struggling to see, while Carrington walked off like it was no big deal. It was absurd. Your star player, the league's main attraction, gets assaulted on the court, and the officials turn a blind eye. It's as if they were ignoring the very person who made the league watchable. And Carrington wasn't the only one throwing cheap shots. Enter Candace Carter, who targeted Clark's ribs throughout the game. These were sneaky hits, the kind that should have gotten her thrown out on the spot. Clark was gasping for breath, struggling to keep up while Carter took every chance to rough her up. And yet, the refs didn't seem to care. Not a single whistle blew. Clark was left fighting alone, getting hammered from all sides. To make matters worse, critics came out swinging. Even Cheryl Swoops jumped in, accusing the WNBA fan base of supporting Clark simply because of her all-American blonde, blue-eyed look. Seriously? So, all those clutch plays, game-winning shots, and record-breaking performances mean nothing because of how she looks. The pettiness was unreal. For Clark, it was more than just physical fatigue, it was the non-stop targeting and relentless criticism that broke her down. For Caitlin Clark, it wasn't just the physical hits or the tough losses that drove her to this breaking point. It was the constant negativity, the way every little thing she did was picked apart while her opponents were given a free pass. It became obvious to her that, despite her contributions to the league, she was underappreciated and unfairly targeted. The WNBA wasn't giving her the protection and support she needed, nor were they acknowledging the relentless efforts she put in every single game. And now, with her decision to leave, the league is staring down a massive crisis. It's not just Indiana losing its star player, it's a financial catastrophe for the WNBA as a whole. Clark's presence brought an unprecedented level of attention to the league. In 2023, before she joined, the Indiana Fever averaged a meager 3,000 fans per game. By 2024, with Clark leading the charge, attendance skyrocketed to 15,000 fans per game, a mind-blowing 400% increase. Her influence single-handedly generated over $5 million in ticket sales during the regular season. Without her, those numbers will plummet, and that golden era of growth for the league will fade away. But her impact wasn't just in ticket sales. When Clark hit the court, she also brought a broadcasting revolution. In June 2024, her game against the New York Liberty pulled in 1.5 million viewers on ESPN. To put that in perspective, that's more than what some regular NBA games draw. Clark's games even outshone matchups between other league superstars. She wasn't just a player, she was a phenomenon, transforming the way people watched and engaged with the WNBA. Yet, what did Caitlin Clark receive for all this? A barrage of cheap shots and unfounded criticism. As the league's golden ticket, she should have been celebrated and protected. Instead, she was targeted on the court and off it. The poking, elbowing, and trash talk became relentless, and the referee's inaction only made things worse. And then came the verbal jabs. Sheryl Swoop's claims about Clark's popularity being solely because of her appearance were not only insulting but also completely ignored her undeniable skill and dedication. The way the league handled it all made it clear Clark was never going to get the support or respect she deserved. That realization hit her hard when she looked around and saw her teammates struggling, the refs ignoring blatant fouls, and the critics ready to pounce on her every move. No matter how many points she scored or records she broke, it was never going to be enough in this environment. So when she announced that she was leaving for Europe, it was more than just a career move. It was a statement. During her press conference, she didn't mince words. I need a reset. I need to get away from all of this. And who could blame her? The league that she had revived, the one that profited so much from her talent and hard work, had become a place where she felt trapped and underappreciated. Her decision to leave was a wake-up call to everyone. The WNBA wasn't just losing a star player, they were losing their most valuable asset. Caitlin Clark's exit isn't just a blow to the Indiana Fever, it's a crisis for the entire WNBA. The impact she had was unparalleled. Remember, her rookie season wasn't just about her skills, it was a full-blown phenomenon. From the moment she stepped onto the court, ticket sales soared, arenas filled up, and her merchandise flew off the shelves. The Fever's attendance shot up by 400% because of her presence alone. Without her, the feverish excitement and financial surge she brought along will vanish. Her influence went beyond just the fans in the stadiums. Clark changed the way people viewed the WNBA on TV. Games featuring her outperformed even those with league superstars, attracting record-breaking numbers. But now, with Clark packing her bags for Europe, the league is staring at a massive viewership drop. The hype that once surrounded WNBA broadcasts was fueled by her electrifying performances. With her leaving, those numbers will inevitably decline, creating a ripple effect of loss, not just in ratings but also in revenue and overall league appeal. The truth is, Clark was the lifeblood of this league's recent surge in popularity. She was the reason people tuned in, bought tickets, and filled up arenas. Her decision to leave isn't just a player transfer, it's a loud declaration that the WNBA needs to take a hard look in the mirror. They've lost their golden goose, and it's a loss that will echo throughout the league for a long time to come. But now, it's all slipping away. With Clark heading off to Europe, the WNBA is left facing a financial and popularity crisis like never before. The Indiana Fever will undoubtedly feel the hit first, losing out on the incredible 400% boost in ticket sales and the vibrant atmosphere she brought to every game. However, the ripple effects of her departure will be felt league-wide. Remember, she wasn't just boosting Indiana's stats, her presence was pulling up the entire WNBA's viewership and marketability. Let's put things in perspective. During the 2023 season, the Fever barely managed to draw a crowd of 3,000 fans per game. Then Clark stepped onto the court, and suddenly, those numbers skyrocketed to 15,000. Her influence extended to merchandise sales, broadcasting rights, and even social media engagement. The league was riding high on her wave, hoping it would lead to a new era of growth. Now, with Clark leaving, all those gains are at risk of crashing down. It's a wake-up call that the league simply cannot ignore. In many ways, her exit is a consequence of the league's own failings. They had a superstar in their hands and failed to protect and support her. While they cashed in on her talent and popularity, they turned a blind eye to the dirty plays, cheap shots, and endless criticism she faced. Now, as Clark looks forward to a fresh start in Europe, the WNBA is left to pick up the pieces and wonder how they let this golden opportunity slip away. Clark's impact was monumental, and her departure sends a powerful message to the WNBA. She wasn't just a player, she was a phenomenon who revived interest in the league. The fact that she chose to leave despite her success highlights the deeper issues within the WNBA's structure. It's not just about her talent on the court, it's about how the league failed to nurture and protect its brightest star. Clark brought in fans, filled arenas, boosted television ratings, and transformed Indiana Fever into a must-watch team. Yet, in return, she faced a barrage of physical and verbal attacks that were largely ignored by officials and the league itself. Now, with her exit to Europe, there's a glaring void. The WNBA's golden era, driven by Clark's explosive gameplay and charisma, faces a sudden and dramatic halt. The fans that flocked to see her play, those who made her jersey the bestseller in league history, will now turn their attention elsewhere. The league must now reckon with this loss and the reality that they allowed an environment where their most valuable player felt underappreciated and unsafe. Her decision to leave wasn't just a move for her career, it was a bold statement about the state of the league. It's a call for change, urging the WNBA to rethink how they treat their stars and manage the league's direction. For now, Clark's journey continues across the ocean, while the WNBA is left grappling with how to recover from the loss of their shining star and rebuild what she so powerfully built. Caitlin Clark's departure marks a pivotal moment in the history of the WNBA. As she embarks on her journey in Europe, her absence will not only be felt by the Indiana Fever, but by the entire league. The momentum she built can't be easily replaced, and the WNBA now faces the challenging task of filling the void left by its brightest star. The league will need to step back and evaluate how to support its athletes better, ensuring they feel safe, valued, and celebrated. Moreover, Clark's story serves as a lesson for the WNBA and its leadership. They must prioritize creating an environment that fosters talent without the threat of physical or emotional abuse. Ensuring that players feel protected and respected is essential for attracting and retaining top talent. If the league can't do that, it risks losing more stars to other leagues that value and appreciate their contributions. As Caitlin Clark moves forward, she leaves behind a legacy of excitement and hope for the future of women's basketball. Her influence will inspire a new generation of players who dream of making their mark in the sport. While she may be taking her talents overseas, the impact she made on the WNBA will continue to resonate, pushing for necessary changes that could redefine the league for years to come. In the end, Clark's journey is far from over. As she steps into a new chapter, fans will undoubtedly follow her story, rooting for her success and hoping that her departure ignites a broader conversation about how women's sports are valued and protected. The spotlight may shift, but the lessons learned from Caitlin Clark's incredible journey will remain an important part of the WNBA narrative. Caitlin Clark's departure signifies not just a personal choice but a turning point for women's sports as a whole. Her influence extended beyond the court, challenging perceptions and inspiring countless young athletes. As she moves to Europe, she takes with her a legacy of resilience and excellence that will surely motivate others to follow in her footsteps. It's a bittersweet moment. While fans are saddened to see her leave the WNBA, they also understand the importance of her decision for her own well-being and career. The WNBA now stands at a crossroads. Will they heed the lessons Clark's departure has illuminated? It's time for the league to reevaluate its approach to player treatment and league operations. A commitment to stronger officiating, better support systems, and a more inclusive environment for all athletes is essential. The success of the league relies not only on the talent of its players, but also on their safety and the respect they receive. As Clark ventures into this new chapter, her journey will serve as a beacon for other players facing similar challenges. She has proven that it's possible to carve out a path on one's terms, and her story will resonate with athletes everywhere. The hope is that the WNBA takes this moment to reflect and evolve, ensuring that future stars are given the protection and appreciation they deserve. In the coming seasons, the WNBA will have to rally and adapt, creating a more positive environment for their athletes. Caitlin Clark's influence is a call to action, pushing for changes that will not only enhance the league's reputation, but also enrich the experience for every player who steps onto the court. As fans, we can only watch and hope that the WNBA learns from this moment, using it to foster a league that champions its stars and secures a bright future for women's basketball. As Caitlin Clark embarks on her new adventure in Europe, her absence will undoubtedly leave a significant gap in the WNBA. Yet, her decision also sparks hope for change within the league. Fans and fellow athletes alike will be watching closely to see how the WNBA responds to this critical moment. Will they rise to the occasion and demonstrate that they can adapt and grow? Or will they allow this opportunity to slip away, continuing the cycle of neglect? Clark's story is a testament to the power of resilience. She has shown that when faced with adversity, it's vital to prioritize self-worth and mental well-being. Her move to Europe reflects a broader trend among athletes who are seeking leagues that recognize and value their contributions. It's an awakening, not just for the WNBA, but for sports worldwide, highlighting the need for better treatment and opportunities for female athletes. As she steps into the international arena, Caitlin Clark is poised to become a global ambassador for women's basketball. Her talent and charisma will not only attract new fans but also inspire a new generation of players. The legacy she leaves behind in the WNBA will serve as a reminder of what is possible when an athlete is truly valued. Ultimately, this chapter in Clark's life is just beginning. While her journey in the WNBA may be over, her impact will echo for years to come. It's a call to action for the league to not only recognize the talent of its players, but also to safeguard their experiences, ensuring that no athlete feels forced to leave in search of respect and support. As Caitlin Clark shines on the international stage, the hope is that her story will ignite a movement towards a better future for all female athletes, elevating women's sports to new heights. Caitlin Clark's journey serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of advocacy within sports. As she transitions to Europe, the dialogue surrounding her departure from the WNBA must not fade into silence. Instead, it should fuel discussions about the necessary changes within the league and the treatment of female athletes everywhere. Her experience has opened the door to conversations about equity, respect, and the need for systemic improvements in women's sports. Fans who followed Clark during her incredible rookie season are left reflecting on what could have been. Her electrifying performances and leadership on the court resonated deeply, creating a connection that transcended the game itself. Many will be eager to see how she brings that same energy to European basketball, and there's no doubt she will continue to captivate audiences worldwide. Moreover, her departure highlights the fragility of success in women's sports. The attention and fanfare can quickly dissipate if the league fails to nurture its stars. The WNBA must recognize that the vitality of their league depends on maintaining an environment where players feel safe, supported, and celebrated. Clark's exit should serve as a wake-up call, urging the league to prioritize the well-being of its athletes and address the underlying issues that led to her decision. As we look ahead, Caitlin Clark's story is not just about a player leaving a league, it's about igniting a movement that champions respect and equality in sports. The ripple effects of her choice will be felt across the WNBA, prompting fans, players, and administrators to advocate for a better future. Her legacy is a powerful testament to what can happen when talent meets opportunity, and now it's up to the WNBA to ensure that such opportunities are accessible for all athletes, allowing their stars to shine brightly without fear of losing their voice or place in the sport they love. In conclusion, Caitlin Clark's departure from the WNBA marks a pivotal moment, not just for her career, but for the future of women's basketball as a whole. Her journey has illuminated the pressing need for change within the league, showcasing the undeniable talent and potential that female athletes bring to the sport. As she takes her skills and passion to Europe, she leaves behind a legacy of excellence and resilience that will inspire future generations. Clark's exit serves as a powerful reminder that players deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. The WNBA now faces the challenge of reflecting on its past actions and making necessary adjustments to support its athletes. The league has a unique opportunity to create an environment that fosters growth, protects its stars, and celebrates the incredible talent that women bring to the game. As fans, we must continue to advocate for these changes, pushing for a league that not only values its players but also champions their contributions to the sport. Caitlin Clark may be stepping away from the WNBA, but her impact will resonate far beyond the court. Her story is a rallying cry for all who believe in the potential of women's sports, igniting hope for a brighter, more equitable future. As we bid farewell to Caitlin in the WNBA, we can only look forward to what lies ahead for her and for the league. With her departure, we hope that a new era begins, one where women's basketball flourishes and every player is celebrated for their talent and dedication. Caitlin Clark's legacy will undoubtedly inspire others to rise, push boundaries, and demand the respect and recognition they rightfully deserve. The future of women's basketball is bright, and with Caitlin paving the way, there's no limit to what can be achieved.